supply and enabling environment side. Here in the slide, we can see the detailed information of its strategy. I wish I will receive many response of the participant in order to formulate more effective policy in the future. Ministry of Public Work and Housing roles to optimize livable housing supply. Actually, there are three main Directorate General in Ministry of Public Work and Housing who dealing with housing and human settlement issues. They are Directorate General of Housing, Directorate General of Human Settlement, and Directorate General of Public Works and Housing Infrastructure Financing. All us collaborate to put each piece of housing and human settlements puzzle together in order to ensure all people having equal chance to access habitable and affordable housing. The contribution of non-ministry public work and housing institution to optimize livable housing supply. Besides of our ministry, there are also other government institutions who also contribute in housing provision. Some of them are Ministry of Social Affairs, Ministry of Rural, Underdeveloped Region Development and Transmigration, local governments, and BP Tapera. Next, housing stakeholder. They are not single superpower actors on housing provision process, since those activities involving various sectors. In my point of view, there are at least 7 main stakeholders on housing. They are government, developers, academics, banks, communities, NGO, and industries. Based on this condition, I can firmly state that collaboration among all stakeholders is highly needed to optimize livable and affordable housing supply, especially for low-income communities. In the next 5 slides, please let me try to elaborate few success stories of collaboration among stakeholders in various places in Indonesia on providing habitable and affordable housing for low-income communities. I would like to point out only collaboration experience on low-income segments because they are our key target groups, and this group also needs our support in order to ensure their access to habitable and affordable housing. Collaboration samples, Campus Merdeka scheme. Starting from this year, our Directorate General works with many campuses on the reach 2 main targets on housing provision for low-income household. They are first, ensure a quality of housing that our bill meet health and security indicator. We train and distribute 345 students as quality assurance advisors in our various projects. They equip the student for practical experience on housing projects and community empowerment, so they will be able to combine the academic and practical knowledge. We hope this mutual process will be able to produce young high-skilled housing engineer in the next future. Collaboration sample for housing for janitors communities in Prabu Mulih. Prabu Mulih is one good example of how local government are able to coordinate and lead the housing stakeholder to work together to provide housing for low-income community. In the last 2 years, the collaboration among stakeholders in Prabu Mulih successfully built 373 houses for low-income janitors communities. Some of stakeholders who get involved in the process are Directorate General of Housing, local government of Prabu Mulih, Basnas, and the community itself. Collaboration samples working with Basnas. Directorate General of Housing has conducted a collaboration with Basnas to address extreme poverty. Basnas has allocated a direct fund to help 597 BSPS beneficiaries improve their housing condition. In 2022, Basnas had already delivered the direct fund to 198 substandard house in 3 provinces, Banten, West Java, and Central Java. Collaboration samples, Community and Central Java Provincial Government. The Central Java Government conducted collaboration with the community to build a livable settlement together. It helped the government to solve the land issues. The community purchased the land using a microfinance scheme to get the ownership of the land. Then the Regency government provided the house and basic infrastructure. It had achieved totally 192 units in 5 regencies, Cilacap, Magelang, Purbalingga, Jepara, and Brebes. Next, collaboration sample, housing teacher communities in Kendal. There is also a best practice of multi-stakeholders collaboration in providing adequate house for low-income communities in Kendal. It requires active contribution from the government, academic, bank, and the community. The project was held in 2 districts, Weleri district and Patean district. 58 unit house were built in 2018, and there are 170 units. They are still in progress. Next, collaboration sample, housing provision to support slum elevation in Surakarta. Next example of collaboration is the provision of housing and infrastructure to support the slum elevation program in Surakarta, which is located in Semanggi area. The Directorate General of Housing support improving substandard houses and build new houses. Directorate General Human Settlement provide settlement infrastructure implemented. On the other side, local government provide land and simplify the housing permits process. And also support from community is to build the houses. Currently, the implementation progress is 500 unit houses. Next, collaboration samples, Buddha Suci support for post-disaster Palu recovery. Another example is working with Buddha Suci during Palu recovery process. The local government in charge to provide land and build houses. Ministry of Public Work and Housing in charge to build houses and infrastructure, and Buddha Suci in charge to build houses. At Duyu Village, the Ministry of Public Work and Housing support 230 unit houses. At Pombewe Village, the Ministry of Public Work and Housing support 605 unit houses. Buddha Suci support 500 unit houses. And the local government support 72 unit houses. And at Tondo, Buddha Suci support 1,500 unit houses. Collaborative challenge, based on my experience, there are several challenges we all should overcome on implementing collaboration approach. They are trusting building. The second is mutual commitment. The third, communication and coordination between stakeholders. And then the terminant timeline synchronization. And the last is unique character, is it case or location. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, my appreciation to the commitment of housing stakeholder who works together provide habitable and affordable housing for all. I am both honored and delighted to be with you today to participate in this international webinar. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Mr. Iwan Supriyato, for your enriching insight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next agenda. We will proceed to the discussion, and to lead the session, I will hand over the session to our moderator today. She is the news anchor and news producer at Kompas TV from 2011 until now. She is also the presenter Ngopi Talk Show at Kompas TV and the mentor of public speaking and media handling at Speakul Indonesia. Please welcome the one and only Miss Nitya Anissa.
Thank you, Audrey. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, all. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, God bless us all. Thank you, Ibu Dian, Pak Iwan, and also Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing for hosting today's discussion. I'm seeing a rise of participants. I saw like 500 something-ish. So thank you all for attending. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to moderate today's webinar with such an intriguing topic: mind the gap and leave no one and no place behind, act local to go global. So I think the purpose of today's commemorations, the World Habitat Day and World Cities Day, is to reflect the current state of cities around the world and the basic right residents of adequate housing. If I recall, by 2021, last year, almost 25 million Indonesian families live in urban slums, with many others settling along railway tracks, riverbanks, on streets. So I'm glad to hear the news earlier this year that the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing has readied, if I'm not mistaken, 5.1 trillion rupiahs for the ministry's housing provisions and renovation program in 2022. It's a great thing, but I think housing issues needs more than just budgeting, right? So through today's webinar, we'll be discussing and studying the opportunities and also the challenges in multi-stakeholders collaborations to create such sustainable and inclusive urban settlements without, just like the topics today, leaving anyone behind, including improving the quality of urban life and providing adequate, affordable, and accessible housing for all. So today's participants, we're going to have 5 speakers that will share their expertise for us today. And that will be, the first one will be Dr. Mintek Oh from Korea Land and Housing Corporations, and also Professor Tetsu Kubota, a representative from Hiroshima University, Aisnina Azahra Akilani, young environmental activist from Indonesia. I'm so proud of her. And also Dr. Muhammad Heri Saripudin as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Permanent Representative. And today will be represented by Mr. Dani Rahdiansyah, the Deputy Permanent Representative to UNEP and UN Habitat. And also, last but not least, we will have Mrs. Teti Arniati Argo from Institute Technology Bandung. So it's amazing lineup of speakers, and I would like to say hi to all speakers. And perhaps to start today's discussion, we're going to start with group pictures. How about that? So hi, good morning, all speakers. Can turn on the camera and so we can have the group pictures together. Good morning. Good morning to all speakers. It's an honor for me to seeing you through this webinar. So I'm excited to hear all the things that you're going to share. But first, I would like to ask for, is everyone here? Is everyone's joining us for the group pictures? I think one more left. We still have one blank frame.
I try to call.
Okay, thank you, Ibu. I'm aware that this is early morning, but I would like to say hi to all speakers. Good morning, Dr. Mintek Oh. Good morning. Hi from Indonesia. I'm aware that you're staying in Korea right now in Seoul. I hope everyone's doing okay. I heard from what happened in Itaewon. I think the number is still increasing, but yeah. How are you today, Dr. Mintek Oh? As we're still waiting for another speaker. Yes, I can hear your voice, but I assume that you have having a great morning today. So hi, Professor Tetsukubota. Thank you for joining us. Hi. And also hi, Nina. Thank you, Nina, for joining us today. Such an honor to hear you speak today. And also Mr. Dani, Pak Dani, selamat pagi. Terima kasih sudah join pagi hari ini. And also Ibu Teti, selamat pagi Ibu Teti. As I just said, amazing lineup of speakers. They will share their expertise to find the solutions that could also be implemented right away. I'm hoping. I hope that we can implement that right away through this commemorations today. So how about we're taking the first picture and then we're going to continue if there will be more speakers or honorable host who's going to join us. Okay, is that okay? Ibu Dian, can we take group pictures together with just us, and then we're going to continue to if anyone going to join us. Is that okay? Sounds great.
Because my DJ is still in.
It's okay, Ibu Dian. I think we're it's cool for us to take a pictures together. Okay, so put up your best smile. I'm going to count on 3, and then the commentator will take a picture. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, another picture. How about another pose? I don't know, like thumbs up or sarange? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for all speakers. Thank you, Ibu Dian. Thank you for taking a group picture together. Thank you so much. And before we continue to start today's discussion, I would like to remind all the participants to turn off your microphone through the entire of today's webinar so we can, listen better and find a solution better. All the participants might type questions as the presentation's going, because there will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So, and I would also pick one of the most intriguing questions that will be rewarded. Yay! So please share your thoughts only on Q&A box because I won't be reading the questions if you type that on the chat box. So please do write it on the question and answers box. I would like to remind all the speakers that you have 20 minutes each speaker to do the sharing session, and allow me to alert you with 5 minutes left a reminder so we can stick to the 20 minutes for each sharing sessions. Does that sounds good? Okay, I'm hearing all of the excitement from the participants. I think the numbers is going up. So I think we're just going to start with the first speaker, Aisnina Azahra Akilani, our young environmental activist. Before I hand it over to her, let me read just, as a bridging for her. Who is Nina? Nina is a young Indonesian environmental activist whose main concern is to stop the transport of waste, of rubbish, from Europe to her home country and other countries in the global south. She has often been referred to in the media as the Indonesian Greta Thunberg. I'm giving an applause from here. So as a young environmental activist, Nina was invited to speak at the Plastic Health Summit in Theater Amsterdam on October 21st, 2021, last year. She is advocating for clean, safe, healthy and sustainable world and fight against illegal imports of plastic waste from industrialized countries to her native Indonesia. So Nina will be sharing with us. Her topic will be youth engagement in acting local to go global. I'm inviting all the participants to write down your questions as the presentation's going. So I will be have enough time to just finding the right questions to ask at the question and answer sessions. So without further ado, give it up for Aisnina Azahra Akilani, our young environmental activist.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me here, and thank you for introducing me. Please, the organizer can help me to share my slide. Okay, Excellencies and distinguished participants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. I'm honored to be here with you in this forum today. October is the month to celebrate the World Habitat Day and the World Cities Day 2022 under the theme Mind the Gap, Leave No One and No Place Behind. This year, the world draw attention to the growing inequalities and vulnerabilities that have been intensified by the Triple C, COVID-19, climate, and conflicts. Okay, slide. Please allow me to briefly introduce myself. I'm Ashnina, usually called Nina, the captain of Prefer Warrior Indonesia, a youth organization that based in Gresik, East Java. We have a mission to prevent plastic pollution crisis in Indonesian rivers, to promote zero waste solutions and zero waste lifestyle as a trend in youth generation, and to strengthen intergeneration solidarity towards environmental justice. As a young environmental justice and climate activist, I am doing campaign on plastic crisis that has been terrifically destroying our habitat, our home, and our planet Earth. And we can see the plastic trash leaks almost everywhere. When I visit the mountain, forests, remote area, rivers, beaches, I saw plastic kills mangrove and marine life. Plastic pouch, sachet multi-layer, straws, styrofoam, cup, bottles are some types of plastic that I found in the environment. We monitor plastic pollution through plastic waste brand audits, illegal dumps mapping, plastic accumulation on trees and rivers and beaches. And our team require understand that plastic crisis is not just about the waste management problem, but it's a problem of overproduction and overconsumption of plastic material. The oil companies, petrochemical companies, and fast-moving consumer goods producers are flooding us with excessive unnecessary single-use plastic. Although in many places there is no formal system and facilities for waste collection and waste treatment, such as in mountains, coastal and rural area or remote island. Slide. We do microplastic analysis in rivers, seawater, seafood, human feces, and ambient air. And we found most of the samples has been contaminated with microplastic. 102 samples of human feces in Java were all positive, contained microplastics. Slide. Plastic waste management is not only the problem in developing countries. It's also problem in rich countries. Plastic recycling is often promoted as solution to plastic crisis, but recycling is not effective because only less than 10% of plastic waste is recycled globally. The rich countries are sending their trash to developing countries in the guise of recycling. But but most of plastic are non-recyclable because it's too dirty, because it mixes with the organic waste. It's too dirty, and no plastic one just one plastic trash made from several different types of plastic materials that make it too difficult and too toxic to be recycled. In 2018, I saw plastic trash piles were dumped in my village near a paper mill, and I found out that the trash was from foreign countries. The paper mill import waste paper that contain plastic trash contaminants, and people sort and collect the valuable plastic for recycling. But some of the plastics were non-valuable, and people dumped and burned it, the imported plastic waste, at their house yard. I did observation and I started to write letter to the leader of the exporters countries to ask them to stop exporting plastic waste to my country, Indonesia. I start to campaign Indonesia is not a global dump site. I wrote my first letter to US President Donald Trump and my fight was documented by German filmmaker in a documentary titled Girls for Future. It gained a lot of public attention and international journalists. I invited to speak at international forums such as the Plastic Health Summit in Amsterdam 2021 that just explained by the MC. Slide. The climate justice in intergeneration gener, 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 intergenerational responsibility, it's ultimately about ethical and moral fairness. The future generations who are likely to face more frequent and intense extreme weather events and pollution impacts have come into focus due to the fierce and effective advocacy of young climate activists around the world. It's time to meaningfully engage youth participants. Our voice should not only be listened by the leaders and communities. The youth need to be provided a seat at decision tables and provided with skills and capacity to effectively operate at those tables. Youth are central in achieving a more sustainable and healthier planet. Slide. The imported plastic recycling is dirty. Recycling that most of the plastic were openly burned and polluting the air with toxic smoke that release dioxin and microplastic to our air. The food chain in Indonesia has been poisoned with toxic plastic chemicals by the plastic trash shipment from rich countries. I'm still campaigning to stop plastic waste export, and many journalists cover my action from the Netherlands, USA, Canada, and many more. Slide. Slide. Okay. Last month, I spoke at Parliamentary 20 Forum to ask parliament members from 20 countries to make strong regulations to protect my future and that of the youth in all countries in the world from this plastic pollution calamity. As children, we have the right to live in a safe, clean, and healthy environment, and the present generation should not steal our basic rights and endanger the lives of the next generation. Next slide. Until today, rich countries are still exporting their plastic trash. In European region, the top 3 polluters are Netherlands, Germany, and Belgium. Slide. I joined global movement with other youth activists to fight against plastic crisis. We launched a children book titled "Back to the Plastic Age," and you can see the book in the link here. Plastic waste export was featured in the book as 5 Asian heroes. Next slide. Plastic crisis is not only about waste management problems, but plastic life cycle is started from crude oil to waste. To solve plastic crisis, we must solve the plastic at the upstream. We need to move away from fossil fuel. So we need to move away from plastics too. Plastic crisis is a climate crisis. Its its contribution to the climate crisis are just one major problem. Plastic material contributes to ecosystem degradation, release endocrine disrupting chemicals and carcinogens that polluting our rivers and marine habitat, our soil, our air, and even our body. The bad thing about plastic is it cannot be recycled many times, and most of plastic are downcycled that will it stop its recyclability. Slide. Every step of plastic life cycle release huge carbon emission that causing climate crisis, release toxic chemicals such as benzene, styrene, phthalate, dioxin, and heavy metals, persistent pollutants, and carcinogens, also carcinogens. Yeah. Plastic chemicals cause health impacts include reproductive and development toxicity, respiratory problems, and even cancer. Slide. I joined Global Campaign for Environmental Justice. I was invited to COP26 in Glasgow. I brought foreign plastic trash, and I collected that I already collected from dump site in my village. And I also bring some Unilever sachets to show this packaging are polluting our rivers. Okay, slide. So if we really want to solve the plastic crisis, the real solution is to move away from the plastic and to consistently implement zero waste lifestyle. Refuse single-use plastic, support reuse revolution, segregate waste at the source, and set up decentralized segregation waste collection and treatment in every household area. We need more composting facilities and enforce regulation to ban single-use plastics globally. Slide. We have to follow the zero waste hierarchy. Reduction should be our top priority. Plastic reduction is the real solution for overproduction and overconsumption of plastics to beat global plastic pollution crisis. We need strong global policies with high ambitions to reduce plastic reduction target that in line with our global carbon emission reduction target. Our government needs to enforce ban single-use plastics to turn off the tap on unnecessary and excessive single-use plastics. Slide. So I will end my presentation with a quote from Sir Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General. He said, "If we want to survive and thrive, let us protect and nurture our planet, our only home for the present and the future generations. Let's refuse single-use plastic and go for zero-waste solutions." Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Nina. Can everybody give a big applause for Nina? It's super awesome. I admire your work, and I really hope that your movement, your campaign could, which already did, encourage others to do the same. I think we're hoping government and the politicians and everybody's out there to do more. Yeah, Nina. Yeah, it's not enough for just like a couple of people to do this. I think we need to do more to ban, to stop, to reduce, the plastic distribution. I'm giving all my thumbs for you. So thank you for the sharing. Prepare yourself for the Q&A sessions at the end of the webinar. But for now, I think you could take a break and just watch the other session. Thank you once again, Nina.
Thank you.
So, although Nina still have some minutes to go, I would like to remind all the speakers that they have each 20 minutes. It's a maximum time for them to sharing the ideas or the through the sessions. But I would also like to encourage all the participants to write down your questions, so I would have enough time to just select the questions at the end of the webinar. So our next speaker will be from representative from the Hiroshima University. I greeted him earlier this morning, Professor Tetsu Kubota. Allow me to introduce him properly. So Professor Tetsu Kubota is a professor, Transdisciplinary Science and Engineering Program, Graduate School of Advanced Science and Engineering at Hiroshima University, Japan. He's also a guest researcher, Research Institute for Human Settlements and Housing Specialist in Building and Urban Environmental Science areas, such as development of energy saving standards for middle-class apartments in Indonesia. Glad to hear that. And also passive cooling, thermal comfort, ventilation, life cycle assessment, urban heat island, and of course, environmental education. So we'll be hearing sharing sessions with Professor Tetsu Kubota about how to balance between QOL and energy saving and low-cost houses in Indonesia. I think it's very relatable to many of us participants here. But without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Tetsu Kubota, representative from Hiroshima University.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction. Over. Okay, thank you very much for your kind introduction. So, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and selamat pagi. So, I used to be in Indonesia until last two weeks ago, but now, yes, I come back to Hiroshima, and then now this is my office in Hiroshima University. So, it's first of all, it's a very great honor for me to join this kind of very wonderful webinar. So, I really thank for inviting me to this, the event. Okay. So let me share the screen if possible. Oh, disable. Okay, yes. Okay. So yes, as the chairperson kindly mentioned, so today I'd like to talk about this topic. So how to balance between improvement of quality of life and energy saving, especially in low-cost houses in Indonesia. Okay, next please. So I think in Indonesia, so at least, yes, we need to tackle the three challenges ahead. One is, yes, affordability. So as the title of this webinar also indicates, that now, yes, still, there are a number of backlogs in Indonesia. So therefore, affordable houses are necessary. So affordability is one of the keys. Right? Second is, needless to say, we need to achieve the low carbon or even zero carbon. We need towards the Paris Agreement. So that's why the second key is low carbon and zero carbon. And third is, yes, adaptation. So as you know that now that, temperature increase or climate changes are almost inevitable. So therefore, we need to somehow adapt to the changing climate. So therefore, adaptation is needless to say also the third important keys. So we need to do the three things at the same time. And then eventually we need to improve the quality of life, even for the ordinary people. Okay, so that is the challenges ahead. So today I'd like to especially talk about the two things. Yes, as I mentioned at the beginning, how to balance the low carbon or energy saving and improvement of quality of life. Okay, so next please. In a way, it is very difficult to achieve the energy saving and improvement of quality of life at the same time. Very difficult. Why? Because, so first of all, please take a look at this. This just indicates the growth of population and economic growth in final energy consumption in Indonesia. Yes, as you can see here, your final energy consumption has been increasing very, very much faster than the growth of population. So this is very typical, not only in Indonesia, but also in other, the emerging, economies. Okay, so next, please. If we evaluate the national growth by using the economic indicator, like GDP, for instance, right? So we cannot achieve the improvement of wealth, the national wealth and also quality of life at the same time, right? This is because, yes, as you know, GDP is closely related to the energy consumption. So this is the example of Japan. In the case of Japan, as you can see here, yes, the energy consumption, this is a nationwide final energy consumption, and GDP is closely related historically. Right? So in the case of Japan, just for your information, there was one turning point that was in, 1970s, late 1970s and early 1970s, we had, the oil shock, the energy crisis globally, and that was very much, made a lot of impact on our economy. So therefore, after the oil crisis, we shifted to the energy saving society, and therefore, as you can see here, the GDP is bigger than or faster than that of the energy demand. But anyway, so these two parameters are closely related. So this means that as the GDP increases, the energy consumption normally increases very rapidly. Please take a look at the next slide. This can be said globally, not only in Japan, but also almost all across the world. Yes, GDP is strongly related to energy consumption. As the energy consumption increases, vice versa, maybe as the GDP increases, the nationwide energy consumption dramatically increases. So this is also, Indonesia is also, needless to say, is the case. Right. Next, please. So therefore, if we evaluate the national growth by using the GDP, so we cannot achieve the energy saving and quality of life at the same time, right? So because, yes, okay. So therefore, the important point is, yes, is the, non-economic factors. But of course, the economic factor, needless to say, do affect our happiness, well-being. But as you may know, there are other factors also do affect our well-being or happiness, right? So especially, right, it is very important to find the non-economic factors that also affect our quality of life, right? If we can do so, we may be able to balance the two, improvement of quality of life and energy saving. Otherwise, if we evaluate the quality of life only by using the economic factor like GDP, we cannot keep, keep any balance, right? So next, please. Next one. So then, we conducted very simple study, a case study in Bandung, so a long time ago. So it's a bit long time ago, but I think still the topic is very important. So therefore, today I'd like to share with you the results of that case study conducted in Bandung. So what we have done in Bandung is, yes, we conducted the questionnaire survey and try to find the factors that affect their quality of life or well-being. Okay, so next, please. Yes, as I mentioned, especially most important point is to find the, yes, non-economic factors that affect the quality of life. Okay, so let's try to find the, yes, non-economic factors in particular in our, case study in Bandung. Next, please. We conducted this actually more than several years ago, as you can see here. And then our target area is Kampong, located in, yes, Bandung. We obtained approximately 230 or 40 respondents, as you can see here. And then we conducted face-to-face interview together with my students and also Indonesian friends. Next, please. This was the Kampong at the time, but I think that, yeah, the situation in Kampong is more or less same even today, I believe. I like Kampong very much, actually. So anyway, so this was the case study area that we conducted the study. Okay, next, please. This is inside of Kampong. So I think, of course, in front of you, it's not necessary to explain the detail of Kampong, but yes, these are supposed to be the typical situation of Kampong area. Right, next, please. And then we conducted, even in Kampong, so of course, as you know, that the building quality is a bit different depending on the income level, perhaps. Yes, many of them are simple, low-cost houses. But some of the Kampong houses even very, very luxurious. And then the medium houses are also included. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, the actual reality of Kampong area. Okay, next, please. And then, as I mentioned, we conducted a questionnaire survey through interview, direct interview, face-to-face interview using the questionnaire form. So what we have done is quite simple. So we put many questions about some possible factors that affect their quality of life, like job and also the health condition and etc. And then at the end of the questionnaire form, we ask their, straightforwardly, their quality of life, and then the long-term satisfaction or etc. Okay, so let's take a look at the results. Next, please. This one is just a profile of the respondents. Yes, as I mentioned, in total, we obtained 230 samples, as you can see here, and that can be divided into different, income groups, simple, medium, luxurious, as you can see here. And then this is not the new, the results. So therefore, several years ago. So therefore, at the time, the income level is as indicated here. Okay. So next, please. And then first, I'd like to show you the results of their quality of life level and life satisfaction and also well-being, happiness. Okay. So yes, as you can see here in this chart, so we divide the results into 3 groups and total. So simple, medium, and luxurious houses. Ironically, yes, the people in living in luxurious houses, satisfied more than the low-income people, as you can see here. But the averagely, yes, as you can see here, for instance, for quality of life, for instance, yes, majority of the people are satisfied with their quality of life. For instance, more than 50% or sometimes 60%. And then the satisfaction levels are almost the same among quality of life, life satisfaction, and well-being, happiness. Right? But as I mentioned earlier, the satisfaction level is slightly different depending on their income level, ironically. Okay. So next, please. But anyway, so the most important question is this. So we try to find the factors that affect their quality of life, especially non-economic factors. Right? Why? Because non-economic factor may be very important in order to improve the quality of life without increasing the energy consumption. Okay. But anyway, so let's take a look at this result. So this shows that, yes, all the factors that affect the quality of life based on our questionnaire survey. Okay, so right-hand side, we can see the QOL, quality of life. This is our target variable. Okay, and then the rest is the factors that affect the quality of life. Okay, and then this is, I'm sorry, the bit, the complicated statistical analysis method, so-called SEM, but please don't forget about such a complicated matter. But I think visually we can understand this chart, I believe. Right? These, the circles indicate the latent variables factors that affect indirectly or directly affect the quality of life. Right? So as you can see here, of course, a number indicates the strength of the relationship. All right. So then now if you see this, according to our survey, we found that the most important factor that affect their quality of life or happiness was, yes, attachment, right? Attachment means sense of attachment to their house or attachment to their neighborhood. So this sense of attachment was the most important crucial factor that affect their quality of life. As the sense of attachment improves, yes, the quality of life improves, interestingly. And then the second, so what are the factors that affect the attachment? Yes, as you can see here, there are two groups, interestingly. Right? Upper part indicates the physical environmental factors. Lower part indicates rather social factors. Okay, first, please take a look at the upper part. Okay, the physical environmental factors. Okay, so maybe I can explain from the beginning. Beginning is the, yes, household income, the left-hand side. Okay, so this is the, the starting point, right? So as the household income increases, the building size increases, right? Because these are this positive relationship, 0.78 positive. So therefore, as the household income increases, their building size increases, right? And then as the building size increases, building condition is improved. And their building satisfaction, their satisfaction level for their building improves, interestingly. And then if their satisfaction level for building is improved, then the attachment improves, then they're happy. Quality of life improves. Okay, so that is the one, the important sequence, the factor, right? And the second is more interesting and more important in a way, the social factors. Please take a look at the lower part of this chart. Right? This one interesting. So first, it's the religion, actually. When the sense of religion is, is strong, and then the people tend to do some, the help each other, cooperation in community, right? So if they help each other, if the cooperation in community is good, then human relationship, such as relationship with family, relationship with neighborhood, right? These human relationships are good. So if they enjoy such a good human relationship, their attachment is high and they're happy. Oh, that's very interesting for me, right? And then for your information, actually, there's one negative relationship between household income and cooperation in community, minus 0.28. Minus means, needless to say, negative relationship. This means that the rich people tend to not cooperate each other. This one is, in a way, it's ironically, this is in a way true, right? Interesting. But anyway, so there are two important factors. Environmental physical factors affect the attachment and therefore, happiness. The second is the social factors like religion and community relationship. This affect the attachment and therefore, the happiness, right? This is the important finding. Next, please. At the same time, we also investigate the factors that affect their energy consumption, okay, the household energy consumption, on the other hand. And then we found that these 4 or 5 factors do affect their household energy consumption. This is very, very, I think that, common, I think well known, already commonly known, actually. So it's not, the new insights. Like, as you can see here, the starting point is, yes, household income, once again. As the household income increases, the building size increases, as I mentioned. And at the same time, they use, the appliances, home appliances more and more, right? And then also, the usage time also, increase and increase, right? And then finally, yes, the household energy consumption very much increases, right? This is normal, natural, I think, right? So then important point is, yes, these household size, building size, and household income and building size appears not only in this chart, but also in the previous chart. Right. So please take a look at the next slide.
I'm sorry to cut in. Professor Kubota would like to remind you about the 5 minutes reminder. So you still have 5 minutes left.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Just on time. Right. So this one is a summary of the 2 models. So I already show you 2 models, right? One is the model, the factors affect the QOL, quality of life. And second one is the factors affect the energy consumption. I just try to combine the 2 models into one, right? And then interestingly, household income and building size, these 2 factors affect not only quality of life indirectly, but also directly increase the household energy consumption. So this means that yes, if you increase the household income and building size, you may be able to increase their quality of life, but at the same time, you will increase their household energy consumption, right? So that's a very, yes, this is number 1. And rather, this result is more important. The quick one, please. Click one time. I'm sorry, click one time. Okay, thank you very much. All right, the important is the social factors such as religion, cooperation in community, and human relationship, right? These social factors do affect their quality of life, but these factors are not related to the household energy consumption, right? So these factors are perhaps what we wanted, right? These are the non-economic factors that can improve their quality of life, but without increasing their household energy consumption. Maybe this social factor is one of the keys to achieve the balance between the energy saving and improvement of their quality of life. Okay, so next, please. I'm sorry, go back to the previous one. I'm sorry. Second interesting point is actually, okay, please take a look at the Red Cross, right? So now, they are satisfied with the building condition, right? Subject to the building size. So this means that as the building size increases, they are satisfied with their building, right? So this means that on the other hand, they are not now satisfied with their building size, right? So that's also an interesting point, actually. So this means that on the other hand, their housing satisfaction is now depends on their size, not depends on the quality, right? So that's also very important point, actually. So this means that first we need to fulfill their, the building size, minimum building size first. And then if we can improve their building condition without increasing their building size, we may be able to improve their quality of life without increasing their household energy consumption. Right. That is also, I think, the very important aspect from this result. Okay. So next, please. Okay, so these are some of the conclusion actually. So, okay, finally, I would like to say this actually. So in the case of Japan, yes, we improved the quality of house, yes, especially after the World War II, the post-war era, as you may know. And then yes, we managed to improve the quality of life and etc. But at the same time, we lost such a nice community relationship, right? Or such a regional sense, and so on and so forth. This nice, warm kampong atmosphere, or yes, such a community relationship, yes, is completely we lost actually during the post-war era. So, but as we can see this, right? So these are something very important factor that may affect and improve our quality of life without increasing our the household energy consumption. Right? I think it is very, very important to de-evaluate such as social factors, or maybe compound nice community relationship, even for the future modern houses. Okay, next please. Right. But now it seems that this is just one of the example of your modern apartment in somewhere in Indonesia, right? You also, it seems you are now the following the same path of Japanese modern, westernization of our housing, it seems. So although you had very nice warm kampong community in kampong areas, in this kind of modern, apartment, high-rise apartment like Rusunami and so on and so forth, you now, gradually, you perhaps, from my viewpoint, you are losing such a, the kampong neighborhood and nice community, it seems. Although such a community is very, very important, right, in the future. Now in Japan, we very much regret of this loss of this kind of community relationship, because now, for instance, as you may know, because of the aging society, many elderly people are living alone, actually, without any support. And then now we need such a, help each other spirit, go to Royon and so on and so forth. Such a spirit is now required. But we completely lost such a nice, the atmosphere during the post-war era. So therefore, I hope that Indonesian, our friends, so kindly better to conserve, maintain such a warm, nice community relationship in the future modern houses. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Kubota. I think we have telepathy here, because just earlier I would like to remind you that your time is up, but then you recap everything. So, it's a great point that you mentioned about the gotong royong, about how elderly needs more support in housing. I think it increases the quality of life. And I would like to invite all the participants to, write down your questions down to the question and answer box. Professor Kubota, thank you again for your thoughts, for I think it's very interesting, and I would like you to prepare for all the questions from the participants. We go right down to at the end of the webinar. Thank you again, Professor Tetsu Kubota from Hiroshima University. Thank you so much. So we were talking about how energy saving would be the ideal solution to increase the quality of life. So I think we would like to, we will be super excited to hear the next speaker, because the next one will be talking about, a smart city living lab. I think for the last, decade, we've been talking about this in Indonesia. Some works, some weren't really works, but I think we could learn more from Dr. Myung-taek Oh, from Korea Land and Housing Corporation. So let me just give a quick introduction. Dr. Myung-taek Oh is a senior researcher at Land and Housing Institute in Korea Land and Housing Corporation. He studied urban planning and regional planning at Research Institute under the Metropolitan Government for 5 years. from 2011. So since 2016, he has joined the Land and Housing Institute and has been conducting research on smart city policy development and living lab. In addition, he was in charge of the second Smart City National R&D project. And from 2018 to the present, right now, he have developed a crime prediction program in charge of research and responsibility for the third Smart City National R&D project. Awesome. In addition, he developed a government policy related to the Smart City Living Lab on the Ministry of Land, Infrastructures and Transport, and selected and evaluated the Smart City construction project using a living lab. He is also a member of the voting body for the approval of smart city construction projects of metropolitan and local governments. And recently, his core research topic is the sustainability of smart city and the application of a living lab. How it's going to work, especially in Indonesia, in some rural area, how it's going to work, and what are the solutions that might be applicable for us. So I would like to invite, with the topic Leaving No One Behind in Smart City Living Lab, Dr. Mimtek on.
Hello guys. Okay, hello guys. Can you hear my voice? Is it
Clearly.
okay?
Is it okay?
Okay,
Sounds
okay,
great.
thank you. Okay, hello. My name is Myung-tae-go. It is an honor and a privilege to be invited to participate in this important seminar. I hope it will be helpful to Indonesians through the smart city case that we make with the citizens today. Please my presentation. Okay. Next. Okay, today I will talk about urbanization and smart cities, followed by the sustainability of smart city, and finally, I will discuss the smart city living lab. Next. First, let me discuss urbanization and smart cities. As urbanization continues, various urban issues such as pine dust, water shortage, greenhouse gas emissions, and traffic congestion emerging. Smart city technology is used to address urban issues such as infrastructure shortages, and future city construction for rational space utilization, efficient city management, and creation of various industries. A smart city is a sustainable city that generates urban values through smart technology. Next. A smart city can be described as a citizen-oriented city established by the state and its residents, moving away from the conventional top-down approach and building a special platform where hyper-connected networks are leveraged as the fourth industrial revolution progresses. Next. Smart cities are platforms that improve the quality of life for their citizens, make them more inclusive and sustainable. Next. Let's move on to smart cities and sustainability. Next. First, let's look at the smart city trend. In comparison to Korea, smart cities in Europe began as a new framework to respond to climate change. Europe has placed a great emphasis on smart cities in terms of transportation and energy strategies, and has promoted a variety of smart city policies in community life and community unit. In the case of Korea, the building of a smart city dubbed as a ubiquitous city began in 2003. Because the construction of smart city infrastructure in the early 2000s was an expensive policy with the technology available at the time. It was more effective to start from newly established cities or new towns rather than exciting cities where a new communication infrastructure network was difficult to build. Technology that have evolved since then and key smart city solutions proving new citizens have been applied to existing citizens. In 2007, the Act on the Promotion of Smart City Development and the industry was enacted to lay the foundation for the implementation of smart cities in all Korea cities. The concepts of smart green city or eco-smart city are currently being discussed in relation to the concept of smart city, responding to climate change. Next. Then, what is smart green city? A smart city is one that applies an urban planning technique that incorporates ICT technology into our city's existing database. While a smart green city is one that applies ICT technology coupled with an eco-friendly aspect. Smart green city can be defined as a smart city with an emphasis on the environment and energy. Next. Then, taking a closer look at what a smart green city is, it can be broken down into 4 keywords: green transportation, which was the use of fossil fuels, and emphasizes shared mobility, smart energy, which promotes energy savings and efficiency. Urban living lab, created in collaboration with the citizens and users. And lastly, the circular economy, which emphasizes sustainability. Have you noticed sustainability? Have you noticed what these 4 keywords have in common? I think it's about sustainability. Next. Then what is sustainable smart city? A smart city that uses ICT and data to build a future city is good in terms of urban infrastructure. However, citizen engagement and considerations are essential for smart city to evolve into a sustainable and successful future city. Accordingly, social innovation can be considered as a solution. These are social innovation, living labs, and urban planning with citizen participation are being suggested as a way to make smart city more sustainable. Next. Accordingly to Robin Murray, as our society becomes increasingly information-based and as advanced technology develops at a rapid rate, social innovation must also change accordingly. Next. Since 2014, the European Union has conceptualized digital social innovation and pursued it as a policy agenda, and research and implementation have begun in earnest at multiple levels. Next. Along with this, civic technology or civic tech emerged. We used to place a lot of emphasis on high technology. Then later, we shifted our attention to appropriate technology that takes into account the situation of developing countries and regions. Additionally, the term civic technology started to be used to describe technology that sought to address specific societal issues. Next, the Living Lab, a user-led open innovation system, is also recognized as an essential component of sustainable social innovation. Next. Economic sustainability is a key component in public-private partnership, such as partnership buildings, project promotion, and contract management, and capacity buildings, much like the Living Lab. This is also an important goal of sustainable development. Next. Crowdsourcing and funding are also important components. Next. Global cooperation is also an important component, like cooperation between Indonesia and Korea. Next. In addition to the social and economic sustainability that I already highlighted, ecological sustainability is important. Circular city and circular economy continue to be topics of discussion nowadays. Next. Similarly, approaching climate change issues such as carbon net zero from a survival point of view is also important for sustainability. Next. Also, one of the concepts being extensively discussed is resilience. Next. To achieve sustainable development, neither of these discusses on ecological, social, or economic sustainability can work in isolation. Rather, they must be considered as a whole. Next. A smart city cannot be established solely with advanced technology itself. It can evolve into a sustainable city through the Living Lab and by embracing the socially underprivileged in the context of digital social innovation. For this reason, Korea places a great importance on Living Lab and technology in current smart city policies. No matter how good a smart city solution or service is, if it is ignored by users, its sustainability will suffer. In Korea, smart city services are also considered as public goods, so we are actively promoting the Smart City Living Lab for sustainability. Next. Okay, let us now move on to the Smart City Living Lab. Next. Our Living Lab is an innovative experiment in which users directly participate in the service or products provided. The space in which we actually live becomes the object of experimentation in the Living Lab. And various users and producers, that is service or program providers, engage in innovation activities. It is a technique that places far more emphasis on involvement than the existing citizen participation. Next, The Living Lab process is a co-creation process in which citizens come up with ideas or problem-solving solutions and conduct experiments and evaluation in real-world settings. Even if expensive smart city services are provided, the policies are doomed to fail if it is turned away by the end users, the citizens. Therefore, before providing smart city services, usability should be improved by discovering and developing innovative ideas in collaboration with citizens and evaluating and upgrading them based on their feedback. Next. Living Lab can be defined as a way in which urban space serves as a platform for demonstrating smart city, and users and producers participate as a subject of smart city development and operation for sustainable city from a smart city perspective. There is no major difference from the general Living Lab. The 4P is the most crucial aspect of the Living Lab. 4P stands for public-private people partnerships. In the case of the Smart City Living Lab, 5P is defined as an important factor by adding the characteristics of place that our city has. The most important point is that citizens, as end users of smart services, service developers who reflect and update citizens' opinions, and the government, which provides financial and administrative assistance to cities. From governance connecting those citizens, service developers and the government establishing innovative and cooperative partnerships on the urban space. The manual on the right is the Smart City Living Lab guideline, which I developed and distribute to the local governments. Next. The Smart City Living Lab guidelines suggest two types of living labs: citizen engagement type living lab and problem-solving type living lab. The citizen engagement type living lab is a living lab at the urban planning level in which those who live in and have a thorough understanding of the region approach various issues that arise in the region in a comprehensive manner. The problem-solved type living lab is a living lab in which parties directly affected by the problem and the public sector and experts explore various solutions to a given problem. The flow chart on the right shows the process, and the most important point is to derive feedback through the evaluation and improve it by reflecting the feedback drawn. Next.
Sorry to cut in, Dr. Mintego. I would just like to remind you that there's still 5 minutes left for your presentations. No longer, I mean, like if you want to like read it again like faster, we can have it on the Q&A sessions. Don't worry.
Okay. In Korea, living labs such as test beds for new technology, urban problem solving and innovative industrial ecosystem have been applied to smart cities as a part of national policy and being promoted. Next. The living lab is recommended not just for the smart city construction project by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, but also for urban regeneration projects. Next, design thinking methods and pilot tests are frequently utilized in the living lab. Next, Korea Land and Housing Corporation, LH, promoted the Smart City Living Lab in Sejong City, a multifunctional administrative city by recruiting local residents. Next, local residents have first-hand knowledge of the issues facing the community. Such issues are uncovered and shared, and solutions are derived in collaboration with experts. At the same time, residents' sense of citizenship can be increased by participating in the resolution of local issues. And the process of developing and upgrading smart services with the direct participation of citizens can increase the usability of and user citizens themselves. Next. Various smart services that locally want were identified during the process of Smart City Living Lab for Sejong City, as shown here. Next. These smart service systems were established in Sejong City through an empirical process with the citizens. Next. These smart services were actually implemented in Sejong City by demonstrating with the citizens. Next. LH promoting yet another smart city living lab under the slogan, creating a smart neighborhood with everyone's participation. It is implemented in Hwasong City and aim to solve local problem with residents. Next. There is also a resource recycling type living lab that recycles food waste in an eco-friendly manner for 50 households. Next. Songdong-gu district of Seoul City runs the country's first online living lab platform. Next. In Jeju Island, an open innovation platform driven by citizens to address local problems on their own is running under the theme of plus value. There is also a local government that compiles a list of the top 10 complaints and submit it to the committee in order to determine which issues can be addressed through the living lab that year. Next, Daegu City is implementing various living labs as well. Social living labs for young people, smart living labs to build smart cities, industrial academia, collaboration living labs. To support startup and urban innovation living labs to solve urban challenges are in operation. Next. In Korea, living labs are promoted not only by the public sector, but also by the private sector. The picture shows the first living lab case in Korea. It was developed together with the university students. This application shows in real time whether or not the stepping stone of a local river used as a shortcut is inundated in rain. Next. This is Songdaegeol Energy Living Lab project in Seoul. Residents of Songdaegeol area voluntarily carried out an energy sharing project using solar power. This is an example of creating a range of energy business models and using the profits to improve the local community. Next. Now, this is a senior living lab. The senior living lab is unique in that it houses both a seminar welfare center for the elderly on the first floor and a startup enterprise that manufactures medical devices for the elderly in the second floor. It is an example of a living lab which allows medical devices to be improved in collaboration with the elderly who visit the elderly welfare center by identifying inconvenient aspects and improving product usability. Next. Begin Again is a living lab program that assists cancer patients in returning to society with confidence after taking treatment. Next. There is also MUI Living Lab that facilitates the mobility of people with disabilities. The child of the CEO of this living lab is in a wheelchair. So the lab is working on content creation to increase the mobility of the disabled as well as building and distributing a wheelchair route map. The image on the right shows AUD Social Cooperative that is developing a text interpretation and AI platform for the hearing impaired. We can bridge the digital divide and move toward as an inclusive city if we make this effort. So far, I have introduced and explained about the Smart City Living Lab in Korea. The Smart City Living Lab is not a one-size-fits-all solution. There may be failures, and there are projects that are effective when living labs is being used, and ones that are not. To lower the probability of failures of the Smart City Living Lab, it is important to conduct a pilot study with a small budget in a short period of time and move on to the next step based on the results. With that, I will finish my presentation on Smart City Living Lab. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Mintero. So I think the idea of having the smart cities and living lab in Indonesia is imaginative as is applicable. I would like to invite all the participants to write down your questions through the question and answer box. So I would like to continue without further ado to introduce the next speaker, Dr. Muhammad Heri Saripudin, as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Permanent Representative, Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Nairobi, that today will be represented by Mr. Dhani Radiansyah as the Deputy Permanent Representative to UNEP and UN Habitat. Quick introductions. Mr. Dhani Radiansyah is currently serving as Counselor for Multilateral Affairs and Deputy Permanent Representative for UNEP and UN Habitat at the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Nairobi. So his main responsibilities include spearheading Indonesia's interest in environment and urban settlement issues through both UNEP and UN Habitat, so as well as serve as a focal point for other related multilateral issues. Currently, he is serving as head of Chancery of the Embassy. Mr. Dhani Radiansyah will be providing us with the sharing sessions with the topic Minding the Gap, Indonesia and UN Habitat Cooperation in Addressing Housing and Settlements Problem. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Dhani Radiansyah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, moderator. Can you confirm that I'm audible?
Yes, Pak Dhani.
Okay, thank you. Good morning from Nairobi. This is 6:30 in the morning. We have 4-hour difference between Jakarta and Nairobi. And at the outset, I would like to express our gratitude to the Ministry of Public Works and Housing for convening this important seminar. Of course, this seminar under this theme, Mind the Gap, Leave No One and No Place Behind, Act Local to Go Global, is very timely and most relevant to addressing our global situation today. Not only in Indonesia, but other countries are doing the same. In Yemen, projects to mitigate droughts and water shortages has just been launched in September. In Sudan, they have a project on right to adequate housing in West Darfur. In Jordan, the government localizing the SDG and implementing the new urban agenda. And Egypt, the Cairo municipality government just rolled out the first public bike sharing system. Those initiatives, just to name a few, is just examples on how other governments are doing what we are discussing now, minding the gap, leave no one and no place behind, and act locally to go global. I would also like to express our appreciation to the other speakers who have shed lights and valuable insights to our discussion today. And my presentation will cover several elements. First, I'm going to touch upon the cooperation between Indonesia and UN Habitat, few from Nairobi, and then we're going to talk about the new urban agenda in Indonesia. And next, how Indonesia can bring its NUA best practices to other countries. Next slide, please. First, we're going to talk about the cooperation between Indonesia and UN Habitat. Next slide, please. First question that may come into our mind is why is it important for Indonesia to cooperate with UN Habitat on urban settlement issue? Let's do some fact check. Maybe later Ibu Dian can correct me if there's any mistake in my information. Indonesia's population is currently around 273 million, with projection to be around 350 million people into the 2050. And among those, 151 million people live in urban area. And we have a huge disparity of population. 55% are in Java, and you only have around 42% housing in urban areas who have access to clean water. And not to forget that we still have around 22% Indonesian citizens who still live in slum area. Next slide, please. And now let's see what is the vision and mandate of UN Habitat. As we know, it is the UN program which has been established in 1975 to deal with issues related to human settlement. You can see the vision, and they work with partners to build an inclusive, safe, and resilient, sustainable cities and communities. And UN Habitat promotes urbanization as a positive transformative force for people and communities, reducing inequalities, discrimination, and poverty. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And from the perspective of Indonesian embassy here in Nairobi, throughout the years of cooperation between Indonesia and UN Habitat have provided many positive contributions to Indonesia. Just to name a few, in the field of innovation in urban policy reform, we have been assisted through the BUILD program back in the years 1997 to 2003. In the field of disaster risk reduction and rehabilitation, UN Habitat also assisted us in the Aceh Nia settlement support program. And in the field of infrastructure, we have the co-build project, and also in the field of capacity building training, UN Habitat also assisted us with the cattle and SAM upgrading project, and also the solid waste management. Next slide, please. On the other hand, we also contribute to what the activity of UN Habitat. As we still remember, we were the host of the World Habitat Day 2020 in Surabaya. We also host of the 6th Asia Pacific Urban Forum back in 2015, which led to the Habitat 3 in creating the new urban agenda. And also we participate in the governing bodies of UN Habitat. We were vice chair of the Committee of Permanent Representatives back in 2014, 2015, and we were also member of the executive board in 2019 to 2021. And we also been awarded by several scroll of honors from UN Habitat at that time. In the context of New Urban Agenda, Indonesia is among the only 36 countries who have submitted their national implementation report. Okay, just a bit slowly, please. Okay. New Urban Agenda, as I mentioned, we are among the 36 countries who have submitted our national reports. You know, we have 194 member states of the United Nations. We are among the small group of 36 countries. Also, Indonesia took a leadership role in developing a collective message for the 9th APFSD, which led to the high-level meeting on the New Urban Agenda in New York back in April 2022. Now, if you look into the New Urban Agenda that we see on our screen, it is adopted in Quito, in Habitat 3, and the New Urban Agenda provided guidance for planning, developing, and management of governance to address challenges and opportunities of urbanization and human settlement. Next slide, please. Of course, the New Urban Agenda is part and parcel of the greater effort to achieve the SDG. And the implementation of the New Urban Agenda can serve as accelerator to speed up the attainment of SDG target, and in particular in SDG 11, in all its 10 targets and 14 indicators. Next slide, please. We have this target, the SDG 11 and all its target. Just want to make sure that everybody is aware. Next slide, please. And also, beside SDG 11, there are 10 other SDGs which have targets related to urban areas. You can see target SDG 1, SDG 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, and 16. So meaning that these 10 points explain the cross-cutting nature of the attainment of SDG targets, which issues related to housing and urban settlement under the purview of the UN Habitat. Next slide, please. To regulate the implementation of the New Urban Agenda, we have enacted the Law Number 1 of 2011 on housing and settlement area, which emphasized the active participation of Indonesia in the government, in the international community, in particular relations to UN Habitat. And as we see on screen, that's our final report that we submitted November 2021 to UN Habitat on our national implementation of the New Urban Agenda. Next slide, please. So this is just to outline what our perspective on the achievement of the SDG 11 in Indonesia through the implementation of the New Urban Agenda. Again, I will stand corrected if there is any correction from Ibu Dian and from other colleagues from Ministry of Public Works and Housing. But this is what we see from perspective of Nairobi. The target, the goal 11.1, for instance, we have managed to have a reduction of urban slum area from 13.04% in 2018 to 10.04% in 2020. In goal 11.12, it is very interesting that we can increase the bicycle track in Jakarta and also in Surabaya, and we have like a universal design for public space, which is very friendly for people with disabilities. And in 11.3, the establishment of Musrenbang, or the Dialogue for Development Planning, we believe it is very important as a participatory planning mechanism, which enable community to engage in the policy development process. Next slide, please. And on goal 1114, the establishment of conservation of heritage city program, including plan of action for 66 cultural heritage sites. And sorry, excuse me. Why am I muted? Sorry. Okay. And you can also see also the waste reduction program in target 11.5. The waste reduction program to the extended producer responsibility, which could reduce waste production by 4 million tons. And also what we see in Semarang, the program of Tunggal Dara, it contributed to the addressing the dengue fever, which at that point affected city of Semarang. With this program, they managed to decrease the cases of the dengue fever. Next slide, please. And also in target 11.7, we managed to develop 247 open green spaces in urban areas, which covers 272 hectares of land. I think this is something that we can proud of, because not only it contribute to the urban areas problem, but also in contribute to environment. And in goal 11.A, this is the implementation of the decentralization policy. It empowers local government to have more say in their local activities. And in target 11B, this is for the National Action Plan for Climate Change Adaptation. I follow closely the discussion from earlier speakers that in today's discussion, not only we are talking about human settlement and urbanization, but we also talk about climate change. So this is something that is very relevant. Next slide, please. So what we have achieved now should not be confined in our border, but the embassy is of the view that we need to share, we need to project what our best practices are to other countries. Of course, since we are in Nairobi, what we want to convey here is some brainstorming on how we see there are potential of cooperation between Indonesia and Kenya in the context of the implementation of the new urban agenda. Next slide, please. This is a little bit of an overview in Kenya. The population is 53.7 million. 28% Kenyan people live in urban area, with the projection of in 2050, 50% of them will live in urban areas. The urban development growth rate is around 4.23%, and they have quite a number of issues on human settlement, including lack of basic infrastructure, lack of access to safe drinking, lack of decent housing, high rate of poverty, and big gap in prosperity. I still have around 5 more minutes, so I think we can manage. Next slide, please. From our point of view, from all Indonesia's best practices, we want to point out two potential ideas, two ideas to trigger our discussion later on. Number one is regarding the ensuring equal access to public spaces, including road, sidewalk, and bicycle track. And the other one is development of user-friendly digital platform and participatory data through e-governance. Next slide, please. This is the point number 1 is related to target SDG 11.4 and 11.7. In Kenya, currently we have around 800 public urban spaces, but many of them are not properly designed or well maintained, so poor management in many cases, and they do not provide optimum benefit for the community. And we have best practices in Indonesia. According to our limited knowledge, one of them is the Taman Fatmawati in Wonosobo, Central Java. Next slide, please.
Mr. Daniel, sorry for cutting in. I would like to remind you there's just like 5 minutes left.
Yes, thank you very much. I have my time, my
timer
here. Thank you very much. So Taman Fatmawati was established in 2015. It is built with the principle of open green space and social inclusion. And we are of the view that Taman Fatmawati can be offered as best practices to Kenya as a guideline or framework for building an inclusive and sustainable open space in Kenya. Next slide, please. So this is what we think we can offer to Kenya: the principle of active garden, the principle of productive garden, and the principle of the independent garden. And next slide, please. And these best practices, I think we can provide it as one of the example that Kenya can look from Indonesia, can study from Indonesia, because we are of the view that this can bring benefit to Kenya in attracting more people to come to utilize the green public space. And with the principle of independent garden, it can solve the problem of funding because the public space can generate its own income. Next slide, please. But of course, there are challenges. I mean, like security issues, poor management, and vandalism. Next slide, please. And this is the second one, the development of user-friendly digital platform and participatory data through e-governance, related to target 11.3 and 8.3 of the SDGs. I will go quickly. Can you go next slide, please? We are of the view that the Jogja Smart Service can be offered as a best practice to Kenya, because starting from 2018, it consists of no less than 176 service modules, including free hotspots, CCTV, hospital queue, vaccination, etc. And it includes many stakeholders, including Yogyakarta local government, local community, RT/RW, as well as the team of dissemination for information. Next slide, please. And we are of the view that this program can also provide benefit for Kenya, because it can ease the delivery of management of data transfer, interoperability among services, and it can provide easy access to customers to easy terms and conditions, clear procedures, and simple process. Next slide, please. Of course, again, we have these challenges, including limited connectivity and including bad signals in some areas. So next slide, please. In closing, we would like to reiterate several points. Indonesia and UN Habitat has had close collaboration throughout the years, both at governance as well as operational technical level. The collaboration between Indonesia and UN Habitat is mutually beneficial, and there is a big room of opportunity to deepen collaboration between Indonesia and UN Habitat, as I've mentioned in the section of the e-governance and the Wonosobo garden. We want to recommend to our colleague in the Ministry of Housing and Public Works that the government of Indonesia consider to participate in the SDG City program by UN Habitat. Also, we would like to recommend that Indonesia strengthen its collaboration through the South-South cooperation framework with UN Habitat. And through the implementation of the new urban agenda, we are of the view that we managed to narrow the gap at the local level in the attainment of the SDG target, into a particular SDG 11. And we can also share our best practices, not only to Kenya, but I'm sure to other countries, as then guided by the ministry on this. And in turn, it will project our position as a reliable and trusted partner in the context of human settlement and urbanization at the global forum. I thank you very much. Sorry, I missed the mark of 20 minutes. So I pass back the floor to moderator. Thank you very much for the kind attention.
Thank you very much, Pak Dhani. So last but not least, after our 4 speakers, I would like to invite the next speaker, Mrs. Teti Arniati, Senior Lecturer at Regional and City Planning Program from the Institute of Technology of Bandung. Mrs. Teti is a Doctor of Philosophy in Community and Regional Planning, graduated from University of British Columbia, Canada, and her research interest in spatial and urban planning, urban and rural linkage for development, water supply in urban areas, community development and disaster management, and also third world political ecology. So to give the overall review for today's topic, Mind the Gap and Leave No One and No Place Behind, I would like to invite Mrs. Teti Arniati.
Good morning. Thank you for the moderator. Now my position is not just a presenter, but I'm going to discuss the presentation that has been done by the previous presenters. I will not use a PowerPoint presentation, but I will give you some rundown or some review on the previous presentation as well as our theme, which is Mind the Gap, Leave No One and Place Behind, Act Local to Go Global. What is being presented today is related to the World Habitat and World City Days, usually celebrated in the month of October 2000 every year. 2000 is every year. And for this year, the Secretary General of UN Habitat mentioned about 4 Cs, which is COVID-19, conflict, and climate crisis that give us challenges in different dimension and different shape towards how we provide settlements, housing, and a good urbanization condition to people who gain opportunities living in urban areas. And for that matter, our usual rule of the game might change a little bit. What we find in the presentation is that we see overall the view about how do we see the future and how do we see challenges and how to solve it. I would like to start with the first presenter, which is Asnina, and we are so grateful to have her with us today, as it gives us I guess at this 20 minutes presentation, a fast glimpse of what she has done so far related to the youth concern about the environment, and particularly about the living condition surrounding them. And she came up with first, how do we see waste as a way to see as a waste, and how waste is potentially seen as resources. But we also know that waste that we see surrounding us is not only waste produced inside the country. So she put a mention over how we become an importer of waste from other countries, especially plastic. And aside from sending letters, which is very courageous for her to do that, and she also start to engage in some companies in order to question their so-called sustainable practice. As you may know, not only people like us, academia, government, local government and NGOs involved in the sustainable development goals, but also private sectors. And these are some of the sectors, or these are some of the group of people who probably the hardest to get involved in sustainable development goals, because they're not used to be concerned about the common people, about our environment, and about our surroundings getting plastic waste around us, especially plastic. And so involving private sector in the game of sustainable development goals is something that we should consider strengthened, so that we know that it's not only non-business people involved. And we also know that they can play a big role, even a bigger role, including active production, as well as active encouragement through market, as well as through the communities. And her mention about the current situation, what happens in Indonesia, like, you know, our waste, human waste, consists of microplastics, especially in the island of Java. It's eye-opening and quite revealing to the how far plastic life has intruded to our even bodies, physical bodies, and that we, if we have a sense of urgency about that, that we have to take action towards what is previously thought to be an international problem or a global problem that you might not particularly play part in it. So the word act local to go global also means that we can be a country who are affected by what's going on in other places, and we bear the burden of those action taken by other countries. Looking at the second presentation done by Professor Tetsu Kubota, it's very interesting that one of the foreign researchers get involved in studies of housing, quality of life, and energy consumption, especially in my city, Bandung. Although it has happened in 2012, it still have a big relevance about what's going on. During the time when Professor Kubota presented his case, I also have an opportunity to discuss with my friends who are energy specialists, and they are as surprised as what you have found in your research. And in it, you mentioned about how energy consumption is not just the consumption. As you all know, the increase our income per capita, it will increase the energy consumption as well. But does the increase income per capita means that we will increase the quality of life? That's the second question. And Professor Kubota mentioned about the relations between quality of life and energy saving. That's another revealing situation that previously we thought that quality of life can only be increased, but not at the same time as energy saving efforts. And because it leads to a different type of behavior and effort towards energy efficiency, which we don't always have resources to deal with. But when he goes further into his research, he mentioned that the quality of life might have something to do not only with economic dimension, but also non-economic dimension. And that's play higher part, such as happiness, life satisfaction, and for case of Indonesia is cooperation among communities. And those can make the burden of living in urban area less bearable, because those cooperation contribute toward how we can live happy and satisfied. So he in the end basically said that the quality of life models can improve at the same time when the energy saving improve. Although we know that the building size, the household income, the household size, and income itself contribute to a better living situation physically, but we also know that the future of our livelihood and as well as our concern about energy efficiency can rely on working together among community members in order to ensure that our consumption can be put intact and can be made into a control sense. And he also looked into the possibility if the future of Indonesian types of housing situation lead to what is what we see in the Western world, such as a middle-class apartment building where there is a big separation between one families to the other families, we might not have, or we might have less of situation where cooperation among communities can happen. So there is a warning about that. Maybe we learn from the case of COVID-19, where at the same time we try to strengthen the cooperation among communities members in order to ensure that our livelihood during the COVID situation continue to be conducive and to be supportive, so that there are less contamination among community members. And that in some ways can change the way we live and the way we use space around us. And that means that our future of housing as well as settlement situation would include understanding about those COVID situations. Thank you for Professor Kobuta. And next one would be from Dr. Myung Taek Oh, which mentioned about smart cities. I was very happy that this is a way for us to learn about technology. Science and technology contribute towards a better living situation in many parts of the world, including in urban areas. It's important for us to see this as a way for us to accelerate towards SDGs goals, as in it, including the new urban agenda goals as well. We don't see smart cities as the work of those technologies as well as engineers only, but we see in his presentation, this is the work of a community organizer as well as citizen itself. Dr. O mentioned about smart green cities, include in it the consideration about COVID-19 pandemics and a Korean New Deals, where they realized that infrastructure is expensive to build on its own. But when you have a mission towards your communities, what you'd like your communities to become, then infrastructure can be made possible in order to reach that communities. And he mentioned about the differences between what happens in Europe as well as in South Korea, where Europe now deals with the new climate change system, and the South Korea deals with the fourth industrial revolution system. And I also like to see how Dr. Ok mentioned about smart cities and sustainability. These are the two things that some of the community members start to see as mingle together, because it's not only just the sustainability that we'd like to reach, we'd also like to use the use of science and technology in order to reach that SDGs. Among them, he have some interpretation about the dimension of social, economy, and ecological. And in the end, it's very interesting to see not only cities is used for all, but smart cities is for all. It's not easy to promote that, and I know in my in the case of my university, the understanding of smart cities is about people who actually understand the work of this virtual system, the work of internet, etc., but they sometimes work on their own. What we see here that smart cities work for all means that it's become human-centered, it's become citizen-driven, and it's related to the public good, where you cannot really put monetary value in it, especially in the short term. So the Living Lab that is being presented also said something about the need to have community itself, the members itself, becoming part of those who initiate the Living Lab. It's part of those who can experiment with their surroundings, and they're the one who also can innovate with it. And also the concept of online Living Lab is another matter that we'd like to also see in the future thriving, especially in the situation where the boundary between regions, the boundaries between cities, and the boundaries between countries are getting melt down, that the boundaries is less so than it was in the past. And lastly, from from the beauty representative of UNDP and UN Habitat Indonesian Embassy in Kenya, Mr. M. Dhani Radiansah, mentioned several initiatives, especially he was mentioned about Africa. Several countries starts to promote some bike sharing program, housing program that will improve the situation of sustainable urbanization. And we also proud to be part of those 36 countries who have submitted the NUA report in 2021. I also grateful that Mr. Dani Radiansah mentioned about the need for us to promote what we have done so far, what our innovation has been projected in, has been done in the past, that we also like to promote those in the international scene, so that one of the way for us to do that, to engage in South-South cooperation, so that there is intense sharing between one and the other, so that we can find local innovation that works. And lastly, and also apologize for this, the very important presentation being made today also by Ibu Dian, as well as from the Director General of Housing, that the government has a quite serious effort to make in order to ensure that models, the number of housing being developed, especially for those who probably be left behind if this effort not being made, is being pushed forward, with the different types of relationship among government agencies and a different type of relationship among government and non-government agencies. And this has been mobilization that includes students, that includes engineering to be graduates that would be part of this, so that they would be early on engaged in the issues of housing and settlement. Some of the examples on the case of Prabu Muli and the involvement of NGOs, the collaboration with other groups are very encouraging for us to see that this is becoming a concern, that government is part of a solution, but everybody should get involved in these settlements. Thank you for your attention, and I'll give this back to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Ibu Teti, for a very complete overall review. I think we're also overwhelmed about the solutions to this issue, to this matter of issue. I think the next challenge is how to implement all the solutions that's been delivered to us today through this webinar. I think we have to talk more about the policy and then how it's going to work in Indonesians, of course. So with saying that, thank you again, Ibu Teti, for the overall review. I would like to continue to start our question and answer discussion. The committee and I have already picked each question for each speaker. So one question for each speaker. So I would like to ask for the committee to display the first question for our speaker. This is for Nina from Santosa Sandi Putra. So despite the appreciation, truly inspirational, Nina, the question will be, what kind of more supports do you and your community need from the government, especially from the Ministry of Public Works? Thank you very much. I think we're going to ask Nina to answer this question first, and then I would like to continue to other questions that we already curated. So Nina, yes, did you receive the questions? Did you saw it? Okay, great. Go ahead. But I think you have to unmute your microphone. We cannot hear you yet. Not yet. Maybe you can unplug the microphone so we can figure out if it's possible to hear you without the microphone. Can you do a sound check? I think it's still not working. Okay. Okay, how about this? Because technicality issues might take several minutes. How about I'll get back to you? I'll get back to you, Nina, so the committee can help you out with the microphone issues. but then I will get back to you. Then I will display the next questions. Is that okay, everybody? Okay. So please, Kamadi will help me to, yes. This is a question from Nanda Ika Dewi Kumalasari for Professor Tetsu Kubota. The question is, slums area remain challenging factors in providing good quality housing environment standard according to SDGs criteria. So can the concepts of traditional mixed-use kampung living that offers affordable housing and a melting pot of ground-level social and economic exchange be sustainably embedded in vertical housing solutions? Interesting questions, considering that the land price in Indonesia, obviously, especially in big cities such as Bandung, is quite pricey. Professor Kubota, what do you think of the, this is a very tricky question, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for the excellent
please.
question. I appreciate. I have a same thought, actually. So yeah, indeed it is, I'm trying to find a possibility of bringing such a kampong spirit or kampong culture or kampong community to the vertical housing, actually. So therefore, it's a very timely question for me. And then I'd like to take Rusunawa, for example. So I was very impressed to see the community space in Rusunawa, old type Rusunawa public housing in somewhere in Indonesia. So as you may know that, yes, Rusunawa, interesting as you know, that yes, it's old type. I'm talking about old type of Rusun. Right? The most cases a 4-story or 5-story. And no, elevators, and then right. So that's a very typical old style of Rusun apartment, right? And yeah, the units are quite small, as you of course know. Sometimes there can be less or slightly more than 20 square meter or something, but the corridor is very wide, right? Typically, and then in fact, people come to the corridor space, and then they enjoy chatting, or sometimes even taking nap or something, and then people are gathering, not in the units but in the corridor space, because the corridor space is quite wide, and sometimes the
Use as a common space, yeah.
It's quite good actually. So that give me some hints actually. So that give me some that because of that, I think it's perhaps it's possible to establish or mature such a community relationship even in the vertical housing if we design such a nice semi-open spaces. Right? So I think that Rusunawa can tell us some hints, and then instead of that, Rusunami apartment, for instance, a 20-story or a 30-story constructed by mostly the private companies. This one, yes, yes, as you know that they don't design any community space, at least in the the corridor space. So therefore, people, yes, just shut down, and then completely divided into the public space and the private spaces, and then they don't come out to the such a community space, right? So that is, yes, I think the very critical difference between the Rusunawa and high-rise, modern Rusunami apartment. I believe that if we design nice semi-open spaces, as I mentioned repeatedly, I think that it is perhaps possible to still bring such a community relationship, kampong spirit, to the even modern apartments, right? Did I answer the question? Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think you did. I think many of the people here might have the experience to live in a Rusunawa or some kind of vertical houses. So I think it's very important not to take the the culture and the person out of the building. So I think it's very important. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you, Nanda Ika Dewi Kumalasari. I hope you get all the conclusion from the answer that just provided by Professor Kubota. So I would like to get back again to Nina. I think we have already solved the problem, the technicality issues. Nina, can you hear me now? Can you do the sound check? Hi.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you. Nice.
Sounds good. Thank you for getting back to us. So, do you want to see the question again, or you just want to right away answer the question? Okay. Cool.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the question. And I think for the uh, Ministry of Public Works, I need you to make strong regulations to ban single-use plastic, starting from the government institution and also education sector. We need to enforce plastic waste reduction and segregated waste collection in every single village to prevent the plastic leakage and overload of waste in city landfill or even waste burning. We also need to clean up all the plastic waste accumulation in rivers, or government should also enforce regulation to stop plastic waste dumping into river and ocean. Please also allocate the educate gadget to provide TPS 3R to implement segregated waste collection in every village and business, schools, market, office, and many more. And also government needs to launch national campaigns to refuse single-use plastic and waste segregated source. Many countries are already doing this, such as in India recently. They launched national ban to single-use plastic. So I need the ministry to make a strong regulation to ban single-use plastic and also to facilitate the PSTGR in every village in Indonesia, not just in the city. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
But can you point out like where do we start? I mean, like where did the government start?
I think from the remote area in the village that near with the ocean, near the beaches, near the river. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sounds good. I like that idea. I hope the government can hear us so they can do it right away in every village, just like you said. Okay, thank you, Nina. And thank you for the previous Santosa Sandiputra who asked questions for Nina. So I would like to continue to the next question that's already been curated. This is the question for both Dr. Myuntek O and Professor Tetsuko Bota, but I would like to ask for Dr. Myuntek O first. The questions are from Sabrina Mahardika. Housing career require its residents to move as their family grow or shrink. This means they will be detached to their house, their community, which will lower their quality of life. So how can we find a balance between the two? I think I would like to ask for Dr. Myuntek first to answer this question from Sabrina. Can you do the sound check? I cannot hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Will you please show the question? I could not.
Sure, sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to display the question one more time. This is the questions about how to improve the quality of life when, you know, housing career require owner to move and will be detached to their house. I think if we want to put a context to your presentation, the Smart City Living Lab, how do you see this as a problem, and can it be fixed with the Smart City Living Lab strategy to balance the quality of life and, you know, the opportunity to grow and either shrink the housing?
All right.
Okay, I think it's a very personal question, but I think it's very
제가
related.
답변을 그냥 통역으로 드릴까요? 그러니까
일단 제가 먼저 얘기하겠습니다.
Okay.
All right. It's very difficult asking to me. As you heard in the presentation, I like English for smooth answer. I will convey the meaning through the interpreter. Okay?
Sure, no problem.
오케이. 주거와 직업 문제가 이제 집이 이제, 죄송합니다. 그러니까 주거 지역과 직업의 문제, 직업에 이제 있는 이제 회사가 너무 많이 떨어져 있어서 그래서 이런 것들을 떠나고 삶의 질을 떨어질 수 있는데 이거는 어떻게, 정부와 뭐 이런 부분에서 사회적으로 이렇게 해결하기보다는 본인의 이제 선택과 그러한 그 선택에 따른 책임에 의해서 이렇게 이동할 수도 있다라고 생각이 듭니다. 근데 다만 도시 차원에서, 도시계획 차원에서 이런 문제에 있어서 많이 해결하기 위한 노력들이 바로 이제 도시계획 차원에서 컴팩트 시티, 그래서 도시, 주거 지역과 이의 삶의 공간을 최대한 가까이 하고 그런 것들을 집적화해가지고 그런 것들을 좀 삶의 질을 조금 더 이렇게 보완할 수 있는 것들에 대해서 도시계획 차원에서 이런 것들은 한국에서 진행이 되고 있고요. 또한 이제 한국에서는 워라밸이라고 합니다. 이제 일과 삶의 밸런스를 맞추기 위해서 요즘 트렌드가 굉장히 이제 노력을 하고 있습니다. 그래서, 이게 어떤 특정적인 도시 계획적인 문제뿐만 아니라 산업적인 측면, 그리고 사회적인 측면, 그리고 전 국민의 인식 개선, 이런 것들을 통해서 일과 본인의 삶을 밸런스를 맞추기 위한 그런 캠페인들을 굉장히 많이 정부의 정책적으로 많이 지원을 하고 있고요. 그러기 위해서 먼저, 일을 하다가 야근 같은 거를 할 수가 있는데, 그런 것들을 이렇게 규제해가지고 그러니까 집으로 돌아가서 본인들의 가족과 함께 삶을 이렇게 영위할 수 있도록 그런 것들을 이렇게 공공 차원에서도 이렇게, 지원을 하고 그런 것들을 예산적으로도 그리고 업무적으로도 이렇게 지원을 하고 있습니다. 다만 이제 타도시로 본인의 직업을 찾아서 뭔가의 일을 위해서 이렇게 가는 것에 대해서는 본인 스스로의 조금 선택의 문제이기 때문에 일단 앞서서 말씀드린 것들이 정부 정책에서 한국에서는 이러한 것들이 진행되고 있다라고 말씀드릴 수 있을 것 같습니다. 이 정도로 좀 얘기해 주시면 될 것 같습니다.
Okay, so if a person has to move to a different city for the person's work, in the case that maybe it is solely on the decision and responsibility of the person. But for your question about the balance between the two, one of the ways we are doing in Korea is compact city. So it is being done in terms of urban planning. So, if we plan a city, we try to plan the housing and workplaces as close as possible. So that is what we are trying to do in terms of urban planning in Korea. But recently in Korea, there's this trend called 워라밸, which means work and life balance. So it is also important to raise the awareness of this balance of work and life in society, in industry, and also throughout the people. And so from the government side, we try to support for citizens to have the work-life balance through certain supports with our budget and also in terms of work. However, when a person decides to move another city for work, it is solely on the person's choice. So that is the situation we are in Korea.
Okay, thank you for the translation. I think I would like to ask Professor Kubota to add answer to the same questions because it's the same questions for both Dr. Myunteko and Professor Tetsu Kubota. Yes. Would you like to see the question again?
Yeah, no problem. I still remember the question. Thank you very much for the question. First of all, I understand the importance of the question because I know that in Indonesia historically or traditionally, the Kampong people migrated from rural area to urban area, right? From the whole village members. So then that they brought the village culture completely from some rural area to the urban area. So therefore they maintain the nice Kampong culture sometimes even today, through right. So that's why I think that is the reason behind of the question, I believe. So, but even if they move out from such a compound and then establish a move into the new place, the housing estate or something, I think, yes, as I mentioned, yes, if we design nicely the community space, such as semi-open spaces and etc., I still believe that the people can, establish newly and mature the nice community relationship, even in the new housing estate. Right? So that's my just opinion. Right. All right, thank you.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the answers, both from Professor Kubota and also from Dr. O. So I would like to continue since we don't have much time left, but I would like to display the next questions. I think this is specifically for Dr. Myuntek O. Yes, from Deki. There are two questions.
Right.
The first one will be regarding smart city should be supported with quality IoT. Would you like to explain and elaborate more? And the second question will be, does development with smart city require a large cost or budget? Thank you.
오케이. 두 가지를 함께 답변 드리겠습니다. 우리 도시에서 이제 다양한 문제 해결과 시민의 삶의 질을 높이기 위해 그 다양한 스마트 시티 서비스가 공급이 됩니다. 양질의 IoT 기술이 필요하냐고 물어봤는데, 그 스마트 시티 서비스와 기술이 성공하려면 그 시민이 그 서비스를 사용함에 있어서 이제 불편함이 없어야 하고요. 서비스의 사용성이 이제 불편하면 시민이 사용하지 않고, 그리고 사용하지 않는다면 예산만 들어간 실패한 정책이 됩니다. 따라서 이제 한국에서는 행정, 교통, 보건, 환경, 에너지, 방범, 방제, 여러 가지 교육 등 모든 분야에서 이제 ICT 통신망을 기반으로 한 스마트 서비스를 위해 이제 양질의 IoT 센서뿐만 아니라 그 도시 전역이 또는 국가 전체가 빠른 양질의 네트워크 속에서 그 도시를 관리하고 시민에게 양질의 서비스를 제공하기 위해 노력하고 있습니다. 하지만 이와 같은 양질의 서비스를 제공하기 위해서는 이제 빠른 속도의 통신망과 그 기반 시설, 그리고 다양한 스마트 서비스 개발 및 구축 비용에 이제 투자를 해야 하는데요. 따라서 그 스마트 서비스의 실패를 줄이기 위해서 이제 최종 사용자인 시민의 의견을 반영해서 좀 더 지속 가능한 스마트 시티를 만들고자 시민 참여 리빙랩을 강조하였습니다. 이와 같이 이제 스마트 기술의 고도화 노력으로 이제 혁신이 이루어지고 산업이 발전하면 미래 도시로 이렇게 나아갈 수가 있고요. 인도네시아에서도 이제 시민이 요구하는 적정 기술에 대해서 정부와 그 시민과 전문가들이 같이 고민이 필요할 것이라고 생각됩니다. 이상입니다.
Okay, I will answer your two questions. So we provide various smart city services to solve issues and improve citizens' quality of life in cities. So you asked me about the need for quality IoT and for the success of smart city service and technology. Citizens should be able to use them easily without any inconvenience. So if the service isn't easy to use, people may not use them, then the policy becomes failure despite all the money and investment. So in Korea, in every area, such as administration, transport, health, environment, energy, crime, and disaster prevention and education, we make every effort to provide quality IoT sensors based on ICT and communication network, so that we are trying to provide quality service to citizens and also try to manage cities. However, to provide such quality service, you need to invest for high-speed network and infrastructure, and also development and establishment of various smart services. So to prevent any failure for smart service, you need to listen to citizens' opinions who are end users, and that is why I put emphasis on citizen-led or citizen participating living lab so that we can create sustainable smart city. So with all our effort to develop or improve our smart technologies, so we were able to develop industries and we are moving ahead to future cities. So I think that for Indonesia, you need to consider appropriate technologies for your citizens. That is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Myuntek. I couldn't agree more that despite the development of the technology, I think we should focus more on the interpretations about the human resources so that we can really get the impact to create the perfect smart city for each, cultures. So thank you again. And I still have time for one more question. I think this is for Pak Dani. Yes, from Jackstra. Untuk Bapak Dani, it's a bit difficult to see, but I'm going to read it out loud. So the last time UN Habitat appointed a program manager to Indonesia is in 2015 to improve cooperation with Indonesian government. This is a question, will the UN Habitat appointed new program manager to Indonesia in the near future? That's the first one. The second question will be, another remarks that I would like to give is that Indonesia can contribute more to UN Habitat program through South cooperation, in which Indonesian experts or government officers can share technology and knowledge to another developing countries. The question will be, who would finance such program? Is it the UN Habitat, or is it the Indonesian government championed by MOFA? All right, this is a really interesting question, Pak Dani.
Thank you very much. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. There are two questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the questions. First of all, about job opportunities. As you know, that UN Habitat as a UN body, it opens very transparent and inclusive job recruitment. So of course, we as from the embassy, we encourage as many Indonesian nationals to apply for positions in UN Habitat. Usually when we understand we are informed about there are Indonesian nationals who actually apply for the positions, we approach the secretariat to look into the opportunity how we can support the candidates. Of course, there's no promise set here because as I mentioned earlier, it is a very transparent and inclusive process. But what I want to reiterate is we want to encourage as many Indonesian nationals to apply to UN Habitat positions. Currently in Nairobi, we don't have Indonesian national. We had one last year, but she transferred to UNEP. So previously we had a P5 level officer in UN Habitat, but now she has transferred to UNEP. But we do have a project-based officer, maybe at the level of P3, if I'm not mistaken, in Nairobi, which was recently transferred from Cairo. So we do have someone in UN Habitat. Second one is about the South-South and Triangular Cooperation. Before I was posted in Nairobi, I worked in the Directorate of Technical Cooperation in Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Jakarta. And I dealt with South-South and Triangular Cooperation. So it is in my heart that I always try to advocate South-South and Triangular Cooperation. Indonesia is a Southern provider, meaning that we are bukan tangan di bawah lagi, but we are already tangan di atas. So we have that capability, we have that capacity to actually share and to actually project our best practices to other countries. And in what sectors? Of course, I mean, if we talk about the purview of Ministry of Public Works and Housing, we're talking about that issue, about sustainable urbanization, about urban settlement, and taking all the best practices that we have achieved through the implementation of of the new urban agenda. And the million-dollar question: who would finance it? In Indonesia now, we have the Indonesian aid actually, the Lembaga Dana Kerjasama Pembangunan Internasional. It is under the Ministry of Finance, and it provides grants to other countries. And the steering committee consists of 4 ministries: Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of State Secretariat, and Ministry of National Development Planning, or Bappenas. And from the steering committee, we determine which program that we will actually finance, and the Indonesian aid, after the whole process has been completed, they can finance the activity. I will not go too far from that because it will take another session of discussion. But those would be my take on the questions presented to me. Thank you very much. I pass back the floor to moderator.
Thank you very much, Dani, for the $1 million answer. I take notes from that. Okay, so by saying that, I would like to thank for all the participants. I've read so many questions. I'm so sorry that I cannot read it out loud every questions, but I think every questions shows the opportunity for us to find the solution. I already picked one of the most intriguing questions that will be rewarded. Yay! The winner will be announced by the Master of Ceremony. I will hand it over to Audrey. But last but not least, I would like to thank all the speakers for today. I would like to thank Dr. Myuntek O, Professor Tetsu Kubota, Nina Azhara Akilani, our young environmental activist, and Dr. Pak Dani, terima kasih, to represent Dr. Muhammad Heri Saripudin, and also Mrs. Teti Arniati Agro for a very complex issue that we can solve together by through this discussion. So I think in the midst of threat of climate change, decline in water, air quality, housing problems in big cities and villages, of course, the most vulnerable groups, are those who hasn't got the access not to just having their house, but also sustainable and inclusive urban settlements without leaving anyone behind. So I think we all agree that that's the challenge that we're facing, and the solution that all the speakers has presented. I think we can move forward for the implementations as soon as possible, so that we can improve the quality of urban life and providing adequate, affordable and accessible housing for all. So that will be the end of our discussion for today. Once again, I would like to thank all the speakers. I would like to thank all the participants. I would like to thank for the host for today. I'm Nitya Anissa, and I would love to discuss more about this on the next upcoming webinar. Once again, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will now closing the webinar and hand it over to our MC for today, Audrey. Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you, Ms. Nitya Arisa, as our moderator today, and all speakers for a very great session. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our moderator and speakers a round of applause. Thank you very much. Excellency, before we proceed to the next session, we would like to announce the best question. And the best question goes to Miss Nanda Ika Dewi Kumalasari. Congratulations, Miss Nanda Ika Dewi Kumalasari, for the best question for this day. And next, we would like to also announce the winner of publication contest, part of World Habitat Day and World Cities Day 2022 events. And in this event, all the participants were required to publish in some scope of media publications, such as social media, internal media publication, and also special event publication, outdoor media publication, mass media, and media relations. So, without further ado, here's the winner. The third place goes to Balai Prasarana Permukiman Wilayah Jawa Barat. Congratulations, Balai Prasarana Permukiman Wilayah Jawa Barat. You got third place of publication contest, part of WHD and also WCD 2022. And moving on to the second place goes to Balai Prasarana Permukiman Wilayah Sumatera Barat. Okay, thank you for your applause. And the first place goes to Balai Prasarana Permukiman Wilayah Banten. Congratulations for all the winners of publication contest. And may we have another round of applause one more time for our winners. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, before we reach the end of today's event, we would like to invite you to join online quiz by visit our link we provide on the chat box, or maybe you can scan the QR code display on your screen. Kindly insert the code 3578906. Kindly insert, please insert the code 3578906, and then you can use the following username by format name_institution. But please use your real name instead of nickname. Okay, get ready. Okay, we will wait. Okay, for those of you who haven't yet joined Kahoot Games, please now you can join us on Kahoot Games. You can click or scan the QR code, or maybe you can you can see the chat box, and then you can insert the code. The code is 3578906. 3578906. Okay, and then after you get into the Kahoot Games, you can use the following user format by name_institution. Please, ladies and gentlemen, use your real name instead of nickname. Okay, please use your real name rather than your nickname. Okay, once again, the code is 3578906. Please come and join with us to do Kahoot Games. Okay, we're still waiting. There are 65. Okay, 65, 70 people. Okay, we still wait until now. Maybe you can scan the QR code, or you can also see on the chat box, and then you insert the code 3578906, and then use the following username format name_institution, and use your real name instead of nickname. Okay, so we clearly understand and know who is the winner by using your real name. Okay, reaching out until, okay, we got 100 participants, 90, 98, 19, 99. Okay. Okay, we still waiting for you, ladies and gentlemen, to join us on Kahoot Games. Okay, we're still waiting. Oh, okay, more than 100 participants join on Kahoot Games. Can we start now? The Kahoot Games, can we start now? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the first question is, ta-da! International Webinar World Habitat Day and also World Cities Day 2022. Okay, the first question is, what is the theme of our international webinar today? You can choose one of the answer. For the A, pentahelix, collaboration towards zero slums, and then mind the gap and leave no one and no place behind, act locally, think globally. Or maybe the right answer is pentahelix, collaboration in urban housing and settlement development. Or maybe the right answer is mind the gap and leave no one and no place behind, act local to go global. And this is the right answer, mind the gap and leave no one and no place behind, act local to go global. Okay. Okay. Who's got the correct answer? Okay. Let's move on to the next question. When do the World Habitat Day and World Cities Day be commemorated annually? In November or September? Or maybe October or December? Okay, please you can choose one of the best answer, you know, for the World Habitat Day and World Cities Day commemorated annually. Okay, November, October, December, September, and the right answer is October. Okay, 104 people got the right answer. Okay, congratulations Sylvia, Zaki, Sayadi, Doipu, Dwi, and Ayu for the right answer. Next, we have another question, what is the title of Prof. Tetsu Kubota's presentation? Leaving No One Behind in Smart City Living Lab, Cooperation in Addressing Housing and Settlements Problem, or Youth Engagement in Acting Local to Go Global, or maybe the right answer is balancing between QOL and energy saving in low-cost houses in Indonesia. And the right answer is D, the green one, balancing between QOL and energy saving in low-cost in Indonesia. Congratulations for the right answer, Mr. Zaki, Mr. or Mrs. Saf. Okay, the next question, who is the youngest speaker of our webinar today? This is maybe the easiest questions, yeah. Okay, Esnina Azara or Mr. Iwan or Dr. Myung Taek O or Mrs. Teti Armiati? And the right answer is 3, 2, 1, go. Ashnina Azara Akilani. Congratulations. Okay, maybe we have another question or that's it? Okay. Oh, okay. Still, Zaki is the first winner. Okay. Oh, okay. We moving on to the next question. Where is Dr. Myung Taek Oh from? Oh, I love this question. From Japan maybe, or South Korea, North Korea, and West Korea. Okay. And okay. Please, 122 answers. We get more. Okay. And the right answer is okay, South Korea, North Korea, and West Korea. Okay, still Zaki is the first position. I don't know whether he is the winner of this session or not. Okay, moving on to the next question. How many female presenters are on today's international webinar? Oh, 3, 4, or 2, or 1. Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the right answer is 2 presenters, female presenters. We have today's international webinar. We have another question, or that's it for Kahoot Games today? Okay, another? Okay, we still got another question. Okay, the next question, what do the WHD or World Habitat Day and World Cities Day stands for? Okay. World Housing Day and World Cities Day, or World Housing Days and World City Day, or World Habitat Day and World Cities Day. And the right answer is World Habitat Day and World Cities Day. Okay, another question. Okay, we still have another question, and the question is, Nairobi is the capital city of which country? Is it Zimbabwe? Is it Tanzania? Is it Nigeria or Kenya? Okay, we still 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and the right answer is Kenya. Nairobi is the capital city of which country? The answer is Kenya. Okay. The first place goes to Kuproi DJ, what? DJ Chika? Okay. Okay, next, moving on to the next question. Who is the keynote speakers on today's international webinar? We have 4, Iwan Supriyanto, or maybe Iwan Setiawan, Iwan Supriyatna, or Iwan Supriyawan. Okay. Think clearly. Yeah. The question, and then the right answer is Iwan Supriyanto, or the green line, or the green one. Okay. Still have another. Okay, the first. Okay. Okay. The next question, and this is also the last question for our games today. How many countries do our speakers represent today? Okay, you have to think clearly. Is it 4 countries, or 5 countries, or maybe 6 countries, and 3 countries? Can choose, please. Think carefully. How many countries do our speakers represent today? And the answer, or the right answer, is 4 countries. Okay, that's all the question for Kahoot Games today. And next, we moving on to the announcement of the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth winners for today's games. And the first winners goes to Miss Sasha. The second place goes to Miss Indrawati, and the third place goes to Mr. Anro Ditsan PUPR. Okay, congratulations for all the winners. Actually, we have 5 winners, and for the winners who's located in Indonesia, please contact us, the committee, through Hero Renaldi, 0813-133-76169. 0813-133-76169. Please, you can contact our committee, Hero Renaldi. We will send the rewards directly. Okay, congratulations for all the winners. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, for closing remarks, let's welcome our Director for Settlement and Housing Engineering Development, the Ministry of Public Works and Housing of the Republic of Indonesia. Here is Mrs. Dian Irawati.
Thank you for my times. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are all here today and have participated in the international webinar, Mind the Gap and Leave No One and No Place Behind, Act Local to Go Global, as a part of the National Observance of World Habitat Day and World Cities Day 2022. We have received through information from the efforts made by the government, practitioners, the private sectors, the community, and academia. Mr. Iwan Supriyanto, as a Director General of Housing, mentioned that various efforts have been made to meet housing needs for vulnerable groups, low-income peoples, and people with disabilities by 3 Directorate General within in the ministry, in addition to 7 housing stakeholders consisting of developers, governments, academics, banks, community, NGO, and industries. The collaboration can be found at Campus Merdeka program, low-income janitors communities in Prabul Muli, and the Palu disaster reconstruction. From the point of view of the younger generation, Ms. Esnina Azahra Akilani has explained the urgency of reducing plastic use and its relations to the climate crisis. Nina also encouraged the young generation to prevent plastic pollution crisis in Indonesia waters, to promote zero waste lifestyle trends in youth generation, to strengthen intergeneration solidarity towards environmental justice, and promote zero waste solution to the plastic crisis. Mr. Tetsu Kubota from Hiroshima University presented data that along with the rising population, energy consumption also increases. Interestingly, when the GDP increases, energy demand decreases. And also Prof. Tetsu also explained the result of this research in Bandung and suggests that it's possible to balance energy savings and improvements in quality of life by improving the living environment, regardless of household size, and income. Meanwhile, from the perspective of another government sectors and practitioners, Dr. Yung Taek Oh from Korean Land and Housing Corporation shared experiences about leaving no one behind in a smart city living lab whose creating is based on various urban issues. Also information and communication technology, and also the rising demand for the future cities. Urban Living Lab Life on the concept of the creation between residents, producers, and consumers in a real life setting to create green transportation, smart energy, and circular economy. From Mr. Dhani Rahdiansah, Deputy Permanent Representative to UNEP and UN Habitats, has pointed out that Indonesia and the UN Habitat have established many forms of mutual cooperation since more than 2 decades ago. Indonesia has been considered as successful in its implementation of the new urban agenda, and there is a potential cooperation with Kenya in such a context, taking lessons from the best practices of Wonosobo and Jogja, for examples. Mrs. Teti Armiati Argo, PhD, as the discussion has carefully observed what the speaker mentioned, and she delivered several key points. First is involving private sector in the game of sustainability is crucial for waste management in particular. Secondly, quality of life can be increased and lies pretty much on social factors rather than what has been presumed on physical and economic factors. And the third is technology and work of communities contribute to accelerate SDGs and new urban agenda. In the creation of smart city that is not merely defined in terms of Internet of Things, but also on citizen participation for the smart city for all. The fourth is intense sharing and cooperation is needed to implement the new urban agenda and exchange lessons learned and success story between countries. And the core session of the webinar has been guided by Ms. Nitya Anissa, is very informative and communicative manner. I'm very much appreciate that. I would also like to thank to all speakers and participants for this time and inputs today. See you at the National Observance on the World Habitat Day and World Cities Day for next year. I thank you for the kind attention and participation.
Thank you, Mrs. Dian Irawati, for your closing remarks. So, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the final moment of the World Habitat Day and also World Cities Day 2022. Mind the gap, leave no one and no place behind. Act local to go global. On behalf of the committee, we would like to thank you for our distinguished speakers and also our moderator and also our distinguished guests for your participation until now. And we also offer our sincere apology for any oversight that might be occur during the event. I'm Audrey Chandra on behalf of my team signing off. Have a good day, stay positive, stay healthy, goodbye and see ya next year.
Labuan Bajo, Indonesia. Located in East Nusa Tenggara Province, Labuan Bajo becomes the paradise of Indonesia tourism. The beauty of its nature, diverse culture and hospitality is always one of a kind. Included as super priority National Tourism Strategic Area, or KSPM, pushes various development by the government regarding tourism in Labuan Bajo to keep going. This kind of support gives out huge effects on local economic growth, social culture, and national resources empowerment. One of them is through program which targeting to increase the quality of the self-subsistent house that can be used as homestay and also other tourism business to support National Tourism Strategic Area, or also known as Tourism Residential Facilities Program, or Sarhonta. Through the Directorate General of Housing from the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing, the Sarhonta program aims to increase house quality by assuring its properness so the tourism sector and local community can utilize it. There are two main activities of the Sarhonta program: increasing the quality of house with business function and increasing the quality of house without business function. The mechanism to increase the quality of self-subsistent houses and other tourism businesses to support KSPN includes determining location delineation, coordination, potential survey, delineation, location determination. Planning. Preparation of planning activity involves coordination with stakeholders. Establish a team to associate, plan and execute. Banks or distribution posts appointment. Local community members, verification and identification. Local community preparation. Socialization and counseling. Collective commitment to support tourism and organize the community members. The activities for those who receive the aid includes survey and dealing in suppliers, identify the workers, manage building and business approval, and attend tourism business management training. By optimizing the implementation, this program is expected to improve the welfare of the community affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and to raise the tourism sector in Indonesia in this new normal era. And now, with Sarhonta program implementation in Labuan Bajo, 656 units are well accomplished, such as 261 units of homestays, 25 units of workshops, 99 units of stores, 42 culinary tourism units, and 19 other service business units. The realization of development acceleration cannot be achieved without the huge role of the local community. A well-built synergy in developing tourism potential will make a good impact on the economy and introduce Indonesian tourism to the world. There is still hope for the future. Visit Labuan Bajo and find the miracles here.
Apabila pasang sudah datang, kami tidak bisa beraktivitas.
Air robnya lama sekali surutnya, baru air limbah kami juga tidak ada tempat pembuangannya.
Kekumuhan ini berasal dari pasang rob. Kemudian sampah yang aliran sungai tadi terbawa melalui kanal-kanal Pertamina.
Karena dia masyarakat pesisir berada di pinggir pantai,
MCK-nya tidak memenuhi syarat, sehingga dibutuhkan penanganan serius.
Kemiskinan sangat erat kaitannya dengan kawasan kumuh. Pada tahun 2021, masih terdapat 10,14% penduduk miskin di Indonesia. 1 dari 10 penduduk tidak dapat memenuhi kebutuhan dasar akan pangan, air minum, fasilitas sanitasi, kesehatan, tempat tinggal, pendidikan, dan informasi. Merespon masalah ini, Indonesia berkomitmen untuk menjalankan agenda dunia, termasuk Sustainable Development Goals atau SDGs dan New Urban Agenda, dengan menjunjung prinsip Leave No One and No Place Behind untuk mewujudkan perkotaan yang aman, berketahanan, berkelanjutan, dan inklusif untuk semua. Indonesia melalui Kementerian Pekerjaan Umum dan Perumahan Rakyat terus berupaya membangun sarana dan prasarana permukiman. Pembangunan dan pemenuhan sarana prasarana kota menggunakan asas kolaborasi pentahelix antara Kementerian PUPR, pemerintah daerah kota, akademisi, swasta, dan media.
Pemukiman kumuh di Surakarta ini merupakan permasalahan yang sangat kompleks yang melibatkan banyak stakeholder ataupun pihak-pihak yang terlibat. Tentunya ini membutuhkan skenario ataupun cara-cara supaya mereka itu bisa terlibat secara efektif dalam penanganan pemukiman kumuh.
Jadi Universitas 11 Maret ini sekarang juga sudah bekerja sama untuk melakukan penataan kota di Kota Surakarta dengan policy brief agar bersama-sama kampus kita dengan pemerintahan Kota Surakarta untuk melaksanakan kegiatan-kegiatan yang berorientasi pada kebersihan, lingkungan hidup yang sehat, membersihkan kawasan yang kumuh, dan bersama-sama pemerintahan Kota Surakarta dengan Universitas 11 Maret, para dosen, para mahasiswa, dan para tenaga kependidikan bersama-sama mensukseskan kebijakan yang terkait dengan penanganan lingkungan kumuh di Kota Surakarta.
Alhamdulillah, karena saya diberi tempat yang layak, saya dimanusiakan juga. Dari yang semula tempat saya kumuh, sekarang sudah tertata rapi seperti ini. Saya merasa bersyukur dan bangga dengan pemerintah Solo ya.
Cita-cita kami menjadi kawasan ini dulu dikatakan terkumuh 48 wilayah apalagi garis merah. Sekarang alhamdulillah sudah menjadi percontohan. Rasa was-was kami, rasa kekhawatiran kami warga yang di sini semuanya seketika hilang. Kami mendapatkan sebuah harapan yang alhamdulillah harapan itu akhirnya terkabul. Kami tidak jadi digusur, kami akan dibangunkan sebuah rumah dan kami akan diberi sertifikat gratis.
Dengan prinsip kolaborasi multisektor dan multi-aktor untuk mengatasi masalah multidimensional ini. Dengan tujuan memperkecil jarak kesenjangan sosial, mempermudah akses fasilitas dan penghidupan yang layak bagi penduduk miskin dan kelompok rentan.
Terima kasih pada Kementerian PUPR dan daerah juga pusat. Alhamdulillah sekarang kehidupan kita lebih layak.
Dengan kolaborasi bersama, Mari kita wujudkan pembangunan permukiman perkotaan yang berkelanjutan dan inklusif untuk semua. Jangan ada lagi kesenjangan. Mari beraksi yang berdampak global. Selamat Hari Habitat dan Hari Kota Dunia 2022. Kolaborasi Pentahelix dalam pembangunan permukiman dan perumahan perkotaan menuju nol kumuh.